You're at the early stages of a project. Maybe it's your project and you want to get people engaged, particularly the kind of senior stakeholders, the decision makers, the people that can rock and roll and make things work for you. So here's a possible way of engaging them. Now, first bit is you're going to want to do a quick pitch. So that's context, why the project, why it's necessary, and maybe just a kind of couple of quick steps as to how you're thinking about doing it. So, compelling. Then here's the crux. Whoever you're talking to at that particular point, you then ask them a question. Something along the lines of, if you were involved in this type of project, how would you go about blah blah blah? Or if you were involved in this type of project, who would you talk to with regards to blah blah blah? Or if you were involved in this type of project, what kind of things would we need to consider from your side of the business? Now actually the reality is, whatever question you ask, make it a useful question, but tag at the beginning, if you were involved in this project. Then ask your question. You're asking for advice. Now, this can only go two ways at this point, really. They can either say, I wouldn't do it, in which case you can ask why, and maybe you'll gather some very useful information at that particular point, either that your pitch wasn't strong enough, or that they have some reason as to why it's not going to get done. But I'd rather know that at the very beginning before I start investing a lot of time in a project, but it also hopefully gives me food for thought. The other thing that can happen is they will answer your question. They will give you advice. Cool. So you thank them. Then you build their advice into your plan of action, or the spirit of their advice. You then communicate back to them to say, thank you very much indeed, this is what we're doing, this is how we're building it into the plan of action, that was very helpful. Okay, then later on when you implement the project and you implement that bit, I think it's worth again just letting them know, we've implemented that bit, that was very helpful to look at this side of the business, or blah 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 blah, that really aided us in making the project a success. So what you're doing here, you've done your initial pitch, you've asked them the question, you've engaged them, you've involved them by asking them, if you were involved in this project, how would you go about, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you've got their advice. You've then built their advice in and let them know. Cool. Then when you've implemented, you've let them know. Do you see what's going on here? There's a lot of looping going on. Now what this means, that particular stakeholder is less likely, there are no guarantees in life, but they are less likely to throw a spanner in the works and damage your project at a future point. In fact, they're more likely to be engaged in the project and support you.